Welcome to Chaplain Auto Ministries. I am really excited about today. I am doing my first interview where I'm asking the questions, and it's really exciting. Thankfully, this is with a good friend of mine, a good mentor, riding buddy, Tony Manzek, aka Springer. So this will be a 3-part series. So to make sure that you are updated to the videos that we are editing that will be coming out within the next few weeks, make sure you hit subscribe. Through this series, you will hear about this amazing United States Marine, his multiple deployments to Vietnam, what it was like getting out of the military, and also his history in the motorcycle world as he was the second boss of the Black Pistons when they came to the United States. If you're used to watching my content, I do want to give a quick disclaimer. This will be PG-13. Anyways, thank you for joining us, and I hope that you enjoy Springer's story. Welcome to Chaplain Auto Ministries. Again, I have a great guest for us, a good friend and mentor, and I've got to hear bits and pieces of his story, his testimony, his time in the Marine Corps and the motorcycle clubs, and he is my #1 volunteer for going into prison. So we're going to go through a few things today, but without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to Springer. So Springer, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I started out as a child. Went to the Marine Corps when I was 17, right after I got out of high school. Spent 9 years in. Spent a little bit of time in Vietnam, of course. And I've been in the more or less the biker world since I was 15.
So before you had a license?
Well, in the state of Ohio, you can have a motorcycle license when you're 15.
Were you born in Ohio?
No. I was born in New Jersey.
What brought you here?
My dad, he was in the Army.
Okay, that's what I thought. He was Army.
He was Army. Yeah, he
and
was
you
Army.
went Marines.
Well, he was also Navy during the Second World War.
Oh, wow.
That really pissed him off. When I went to the Marine Corps. Yeah, it didn't really piss him off. It worried him. He was in the South Pacific, and he brought those LTVs, CVI boats in, or whatever you call them. You know, I don't know all the acronyms, but like the LSTs and stuff, to the different islands. And after the Marines came in and pretty much took the island, they would go around with the boats and pick up the dead bodies that were floating in the water for 2 days. And he had a lot of bad memories of that.
I bet.
Even, you know, when I was growing up, he would still have, you know, bad memories of it. At night, he would wake up and sometimes yell and scream. And that was 10 years after, longer than that. But the war was over in 45, and I was born in 50, so I would say 59, 60 when I started noticing it more.
PTSD is a real thing, and a lot of veterans struggle with that.
Sure they do.
So with you going to the Marines versus, you know, the Army and everything, what was your initiative? Like what made you want to join the Corps? Actually,
I didn't. I had no intention of going in the Marine Corps. I went down to State Street to the where the recruiting offices were right after high school, because my mind was really screwed up when I got out of high school. I had a lot of things just going that I couldn't straighten out, and I know I was going to a wrong path with the people I was running with, things I was doing. I had to get away. So I figured military would be the easiest and quickest way to do it. And just prior to that, a real good friend of mine that I grew up with was killed. He was with the 81st. He was on Hamburger Hill. When he was killed, that just gave me something to do, a purpose. You know, I'm going to go over there and kick ass. Doesn't work that way, but you know how it is when you're a kid. You think you can do it. Anyways.
You still can.
So I went down and I was going to actually go in the Army, and I wanted to be a helicopter pilot. So I went in the recruiting office, and nobody wanted to talk to me.
Really?
They could care less that I walked in there. Now you got to remember too, this is the year of the drafts. The draft was still going on. This is in '68, so you know they didn't really need a lot of people. But I did. I wanted to know. I wanted to be a helicopter pilot, and they just like blew me off. So I just said, "Kiss my ass." So I left, and luckily the Navy was here, the Army was here, and the Marines were around the corner. Mm-hmm. So instead of going out and making a right and going by the Navy and maybe going in the Navy, I just made a left, and I was going to leave, go out that door. And just as I was getting ready to hit the door, the staff sergeant yelled at me. He says, "Hey, where are you going?" That's all it took. Me and him started talking, and so he signed me up.
You went to Paris Island?
No, I went to San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a Hollywood Marine. They split back then. Instead of everybody going to Paris Island like they do now when you're on this side of Mississippi, they split us up. It just depends, you know, how many people they had in different areas. So I ended up going to San Diego, and then from there I went to Pendleton for my ITR, and then I came back to San Diego to do radio school, and I went back to Pendleton to do staging before I went to Vietnam. So I was out there, you know, first 6 months I was in.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I went to Vietnam, and then I came back to Pendleton for a while, and went back to Vietnam for 3 months, and came back to Pendleton. Then I went to Hawaii. I went back to Vietnam for 6 weeks. And then from there, I went to South Carolina and got stuck with the Air Wing. So I went from the grunts to the Air Wing. And the last 4 years I was with the Air Wing.
So I really wanted to join the Marine Corps in high school, and it didn't work out. I ended up going to the Army. And one thing that was like really stuck in my head that I was looking forward to that I never got to experience was those yellow footprints. So did they have the yellow footprints?
Oh, yeah.
So that's a real
thing. Yep.
What was it like when you pulled up there and on the bus and everything? Because I know it's got to be different now.
We weren't on a bus. We were on a cattle car.
Like with a horse and buggy pulling it?
What a cattle car is basically a semi-truck pulling a big, cart that you just go in and sit down. And they put in about 120 people on each one instead of being on a bus. Now, I don't know what they do now, but back then they had cattle cars is what they called it. And we all got out, and they're yelling at us and putting our feet down on the yellow footprints and standing there and, acting real dumb because we didn't know what to do. I mean, come on.
They didn't prep you or anything, like your recruiter, like when you get there, this is what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. He told you're going to have a great time.
They got lemonade.
Uh-huh. No, I knew a little bit. I had some friends that were in. Okay. And they told me what to expect. He says, whether you go to Paris Island or San Diego, it's the same. They got the yellow footprints. They yell at you. You're running the first 3 days a lot, going here to there and everywhere. They kind of tell you what you're going to do the first day, which is you get your hair cut, you get processed, you get your clothes, and you actually get about 20 minutes of sleep too.
That's it?
Yeah, if that much. You get something to eat, they'll feed you. They're real good about feeding you. Only trouble is, you don't have much time to eat it, but they feed you. Other than that, boot camp wasn't that bad. It was kind of hectic, kind of stupid. They're trying to break you down and then build you up. And that's any boot camp, Army, It's all the same. Marine Corps is a little stricter, a little rougher. I would think compared to the Army, it would be like going to maybe Ranger School or something like that, where they had the more physical and bullshit, what I'm saying. And that's our boot camp. And then from there, you go to the rest of your training, and where it gets more intense, more specialized. Like in ITR, you had your O3s, which are your grunts, machine gunners, mortarmen, stuff like that. They have their more intense, training. Me, I just went to regular ITR. I learned basics, got to fire all kinds of weapons and just have a great time doing that. And then I went to comm school, which I found out I should have been an 0311 because I had a better chance of living as a grunt than I did as a radio operator.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The life expectancy of a radio operator in a firefight was 38 seconds.
Wow.
Now, a grunt, his life expectancy was about 5 minutes. Figure that out. The reason is the radio operator is always around the command, whether it's the platoon sergeant, squad leader, company commander, or whatever. You have a radio operator there. And he's got this little thing called an antenna that sticks up.
Oh.
And all they got to do is see that antenna and just fire anywhere close to it.
You're a moving target.
Yeah, that's it exactly. But I went over there. When I went to Vietnam, there was 3 of us that went over with the same class that I was with.
Okay.
And 2 of us came back together. Matter of fact, me and Randy, guy that I was with, were in the same unit, and the other guy, he went to the 5th Marines, and they said he lasted about 6 weeks after he got there. So,
Man,
give you an idea of what, we got lucky, and I feel so blessed that I went over there and came back without theoretically a scratch, you might say.
I met a guy. We were friends, right before joining the Army. When I saw him at the recruitment office, I was like, "What are you doing here?" And we had hung out downtown before and everything. And our ship date to go to basic was the same day. And so we left for basic at the same time, and we were part of the same battalion. He was in a different platoon in basic training, but afterwards, we both also went to Hawaii. And we were in the same platoon and deployed together and everything. And I always think that that's cool. Kind of, you go through it with somebody, from start to finish. And I know that meant a lot to me. One question I do have, and you touched on this a little bit. You said that before you went to go join the military, you were seeking to join the Army and ended up in the Marines. And your life sounded like it might have been like chaotic and everything, like out of high school. Was there anything particular that you want to talk about, or
no?
What that? Okay, we'll skip that. No problem.
I'll tell you real quick what it was about. It was the people I was running with doing some illegal stuff, and I ain't going to mention what, and a girl.
Okay.
So that
understood.
So add that together, and and just out of high school, 17 years old. Come on, man. My head was so screwed up, I didn't know whether I was coming or going.
I remember the first day waking up at basic training, and it was loud. And man, I got up out of that bunk and I'm like, what am I doing? But it only took like a few days to really feel like I was a part of something. Right. And, I really went to the military kind of along the same lines. I was living a life that wasn't the greatest. There was drugs and alcohol that were involved. And I was going nowhere fast. And I got to the point where I was like, I know I need to do something different. And the military really put structure and discipline in me and gave me a sense of belonging.
Sure.
Is that how you felt through basic training? I know you're a proud Marine. Right. So for me to hear that you wanted to go to the Army first, I'm like...
Yeah, and you were just the difference, the opposite.
Yeah.
You wanted to go in the Marines. No, like I said, the Marine Corps to me, I had no feeling to go with it at all. I had friends that were in, but why would I want to be a Marine? They're crazy. My dad would say, yeah, they would run against a machine gun nest with a 45 and a hand grenade. I says, I wouldn't, but there was guys, I guess, in the Second World War that did stuff like that. And stuff like that. I'm not a hero. I never expressed to be one. I never got any Bronze Star, Silver Star, none of that stuff, so I didn't do anything that I consider heroic, but I did some stuff that other guys say, man, you should have got a Bronze Star for it.
And I know a little bit about that, to include some stuff that I'm really surprised that you survived through. And I would definitely want to get into that. When did you land in Vietnam, boots on ground?
It was July of '69.
Was it like Forrest Gump shows?
No, we landed in Da Nang, and we got off the plane, and it was a 727 or whatever, 707, whatever they had back then, and we actually had stewardesses in there.
Okay,
which was just like a regular flight, and but they're all military, not just Marines. They're all military. And then you get off, and they ushered us to a barracks, and they had wooden barracks in Da Nang. It was a nice airfield down there. If anybody that remembers getting off at Da Nang, it wasn't a bad place. So anyways, they ushered us there, and we stayed there for a few hours, and then they would separate us from, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and everybody. And they would get together, and then they would take us to a processing area. And then there you get your orders, and they tell you where you're going. There's about 20 of us that came together in Marines. And out of that, like I said, 2 of us went to Division Rear. A couple guys went to 5th Marines, 7th Marines, 9th Marines, different units. And then they got out there, and they had people over here saying, well, you're going here, get in this truck or whatever. And they just take off. And so we had all our gear. So luckily for me, it wasn't very far from the Da Nang Air Base to where I was at. It was like 2.5 miles.
Oh, okay. And you guys just went by Jeep or?
Well, we went by, it was a 6x, and we went in there. And anyways, so, I went there and then I checked in. They got a guy from my platoon. I was with what they call security platoon. And they got a guy come down and picked us up and showed us where to go and showed us our racks and, say, okay, you're going to check in. And this was early in the morning. This is maybe 9 o'clock in the morning. So we still had time to check in. And he showed us where the mess hall was. And I mean, it wasn't bad back in the rear. I wish I would have seen more of it, but it wasn't bad. I was there for a while and we checked in and started grabbing our jungle utilities and our boots and deuce gear and all that stuff that we needed. And the only thing I didn't get the first couple of days was my rifle. I didn't get my rifle yet. I was in country 3 days and we got hit on the hill.
That was actually going to be one of my next questions.
Yeah, I was in country for 3 days. And on the third night, and the bitch of it was me and Randy, the guy we came with, and Larry, the guy that was taking us around. We went to the Chu Hoi Club, which is the club down in not far from where we're at in the rear, to have a few beers and drinks, right?
That's wild.
Yeah. So we went down there and had some drinks. So we come back and we're a little toasty, but not bad, And we get up on the hill, and this is about 10 o'clock at night, and we're ready to go to sleep. 11 o'clock, they're waking us up, and they say, we're getting hit on the hill. Now, from where our racks were, and we lived in actual little hooches and stuff, to the hill was less than half a click. But it's going up. But still, it's less than half a click. I don't have any weapons. But the staff sergeant, our platoon sergeant, he gave me a shotgun and a 45. It says, here. I said, you got to have something. So
that sounds like what your dad was talking about what Marines do.
Yeah, that's about the way I felt, too. So anyways, they gave me a shotgun and a 45. And we went up there and got up on the hill. And that was the first, like I said, 3 days in country, man. And they're shooting at us. That lasted most of the morning. Around 6 o'clock, when they had some Phantoms and some Hueys come in and pretty much just hit the whole area out in front of the wire and everything. Then we went down there and swept up the area, checking bodies and things like that, what you do after a big firefight like that. I tell you what, at 18 years old, that scares the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Some guys were in country a month or two before they saw any combat. Of course, I know, like with what you guys did, a lot of times you didn't see combat. You saw an IED before you saw combat, probably, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
A lot of them did that I've heard of. I don't know because I wasn't there, but I'm just saying a lot of guys I've talked to, especially in our club and stuff, they said, yeah, we didn't see no real combat. Nobody was shooting at us, but we had vehicles blow up or somebody, blew ours up before. That's scarier than anything I ever did.
Yeah, IEDs are no joke, and I never experienced that on a vehicle movement, but I definitely did see vehicles afterwards.
Oh, sure.
And I remember we weren't there that long, and there was a suicide bomber that was outside. A lot of the engagement that I saw was small arms and rockets. And I remember, when we flew over on a plane, landed in Bagram, went from Bagram, Afghanistan to Jalalabad, which is going from Easton to Polaris Mall. That was, the rear. And,
right.
I'm like, all right, where do we go from here? And we got on a helicopter and they flew us to a blackout fob. And the reason I asked about Forrest Gump is because I remember coming into this fob and seeing it. And I just had that flash in my mind of seeing the helicopter landing and it said Bob Joyce. And I was like, wow, what did I get myself into? And we experienced, at the very beginning, our base always got attacked. It was a blackout fob, so we couldn't use white lights at night. We had porta potties and tents for showers at the very beginning.
You had that much, huh?
Luckily, we had hard structures.
That's luxury to me. You had a porta potty? What the hell's a porta potty? Yeah. You never had those shitters where you had to burn, did you?
Thank God we didn't have to do the burn pits. But, they would hit us with mortars on the base and everything. Sure. But it wasn't until our really first big mission when I experienced a firefight, bullets zinging over me, and I was 21. I know exactly what you mean. That will really put it into perspective of what is going on.
You know what I say about that? You're not constipated no more.
Well, we knew we were, going into raid a Taliban training camp, and we did all of our movements at night then. Did you guys have night vision?
No.
Okay. So
the only night vision we ever had is starlight scopes on an M14. And a starlight scope is about yay big. It's a scope.
Yeah.
About yay big, yay round. And when you look through it, it comes out green. And you shoot your M14 through it at night. That's the only thing we had for any kind of night vision at that time.
This is the first time I knew that it was about to happen. And, I think I was in like the 12th bird. We were going in Chinooks to raid through a Taliban training camp. And the gunner on the back was like talking to the squad leader next to me. And my squad leader hit me and yelled in my ear, like, find out what's going on. So I hit the squad leader next to me. I was like, Sergeant Taylor wants to know what's going on. And he said, the bird crashed at the landing. Man, everything went up inside. And I had to relay that message back. And right. We didn't know what happened. And what had ended up happening was there was a malfunction in the helicopter. And they dropped 90 feet from that. So one of the pilots did pass away. Half of our platoon got medevaced out for injuries. And the rest of the movement left, and we stayed there. And that morning we got lit up like the 4th of July. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what to expect. And I say that to lead into, I know that you have survived 4 helicopter crashes. And, when was the first one? And what was going on? What was that like?
The first 2 I was in were in Huey's.
Okay.
And we were getting extracted back. I used to do a lot of what they call TAD with the recon, because I was a radio operator, and I would go out with them. And when they pick us up, they would just, bring a Huey in, pick our squad up or a group, or how many people we had, and we'd come back. And on the way back, both times we got hit, once with an RPG and a couple times with small arms fire. And the RPG was the roughest one because it knocked the tail rotors off, and it went down pretty, spinning and going down pretty hard.
I mean, that's loud.
Yeah.
Loud, scary, fast drop.
And we were only about 400 feet off the ground. So, both times on them.
Only?
Yeah.
I don't like being on a 10-foot ladder.
And, so those 2, we hit, but we all survived. Everybody in there. Pilots, co-pilot, everybody. And then I went down in a CH-46. It was a platoon of Marines, or not a platoon, it was a squad of Marines, platoon of ARVN, and then the crew. And we got hit by an RPG in the back, and the rear rotor went out. So if you ever been in a 46, you got the 2 big rotors.
Okay.
Front rotor is your auxiliary rotor. Your back one's your main rotor. And then it has like a drive shaft that runs the front one. And the back one went out, and that thing started going down quick. But it was auto-rotating, which keeps it doesn't just drop straight down. It's almost like it's still flying, but it's not with the power that you normally would have. So we hit pretty hard in a rice paddy and slid. So we all got out. We got the crew out. Marines got out. Let me tell you about this, just because this is the funny part. To me, so the Marines got out. We got all our gear. We got the pilot, co-pilot. We got the door gunner and the staff sergeant that was in there in charge. Grabbed all them, got them out, and started pulling them away from the helicopter because it was starting to burn and things. So all these ARVNs are sitting around there diddy-bopping around, and they left their equipment and stuff inside. Now, your equipment is your ammo and frags, food, stuff like that. And some of them had their rifles, some of them left them in. Next thing you know, the helicopter starts burning, and all these rounds start cooking off. You know what happens when rounds start cooking off? They just go everywhere. And these guys are still out around the helicopter. We're down on the other side of a bank in one of the rice paddies looking over, because we're not going to get nowhere close to that, because some of them rounds are 50 cals and stuff. Because in a CH-46, they got 2 50 cals and they got 2 M60s in there. So that's a lot and plus all the ammo they had, and some of the frags were going off and stuff. When it was all done and over with, and the medevacs came in and picked us up, we didn't lose anybody. I mean, we had some people hurt.
Yeah.
We didn't lose anybody. And the ARVNs lost about half their platoon. And it was all friendly fire.
Wow.
Because they were stupid. And we yelled at them. We tried to get them, and they just looked at us like we're stupid. Nobody could speak Vietnamese. That was the bad part at the time.
No interpreters?
No, we don't. Interpreters, it was hard to get on a lot of the missions that I was on. It's not like it was when you guys were, you had a lot of interpreters. We didn't have as many. Some of the special units had a lot of interpreters, but we didn't. The group that I was with. So anyways, so we're, yelling, get over here. And they're just, they're waving at us and thought we were stupid until they started falling. And then they figured out what was going on. But by then it was too late. But that was the worst one as far as casualties. And then my last one, we just hit a tree.
Just hit a tree.
Just hit a tree after we got shot down. That was scary. That was the most scariest one I was ever, because when we hit that tree, it was like you're doing 90 miles an hour. It's like hitting a wall. You ever hit a wall in a car or anything like that without any airbags? And we hit that tree and pretty much stopped. And everybody just went forward. And we got busted up some, but nobody got, hurt bad.
Were you guys buckled in?
No, shit.
Okay.
Buckled. I guess they do have buckles in some of them helicopters.
Some of them they do.
Yeah, it must be like a school bus. No, we didn't have any buckles in there. We were just holding on.
You didn't fly out of the helicopter?
No, we didn't fly out of it. We were lucky. There was only 4 of us in it. It was I was in a KT squad, which is a sniper, radio operator, a spotter, and an extra man. There was only 4 of us in it, and then a pilot and co-pilot and a gunner. The gunner's strapped in because they don't want him to fall out.
Yeah.
And the pilot and co-pilot are strapped in. But as far as when you get in, you don't get strapped.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we got on some Blackhawks to do some missions, we never strapped in, but it made you want to, especially when you're going in hot and the doors are open. And
that's the fun part, man.
I remember coming down from a big mission after my squad leader had passed. We were there for like 13 days on top of this mountain, continuous firefights, and they finally sent someone in to relieve us, and somehow there was a mixed count on the seating or whatever.
Yeah.
And we had the extra person that didn't have a seat. So I just remember him jumping into the helicopter across all of our laps. My buddy Grody was next to me, and I wrapped my arm around the straps and everything to hold on. And I had my arm underneath this other guy's legs, and I was like, hold on to me. And he was taking off his helmet, just so happy he was on there. I was like, bro, don't let me fall. It's amazing. And I know, okay, so did we go over all 4 helicopter crashes?
Yeah.
And I know that there was another significant event that you went through there. And
oh, my bunker experience?
Yes. Tell us about the bunker experience.
Yeah, I was on night watch back in the rear. And me and another guy were on the top of a bunker. And 22 rockets came in, and one of them exploded right in front of our bunker. And I was asleep near the back, and the other guy was kind of in the middle, and it blew us both off the bunker.
Wow.
Just, that's when I woke up, was after I hit.
It's quite an alarm clock.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. You talk about getting up at 0400 in the morning. Yeah, it was scary.
So was it an RPG? Or?
No, it was a 122 rocket.
Wow.
And those are pretty good sized rockets. But they're non-directional. They put them between like 2 sticks like this and lay it up there. Just like you Roman candles, how Roman candles, you can, it's the same thing. They lay it up there, they kind of look and say, okay, that's about where it's going to go. And then they just light it and leave. And it has, some of them have like a 30-second fuse. That way they can light it and take off. And then we can't see where it's coming, because when it goes off, you can see it. And that way they can say, oh, there they are, and, throw some rockets or whatever we got at them, mainly mortars.
Suppressive fire, all that stuff.
Usually mortars. But, they got usually 30-second fuses. So, by the time it goes off, they're gone. 30 seconds, you can run pretty fast,
So they would, shoot the rockets and everything at you guys. Would they follow up with small arms, or it was just one big boom? And
harassment.
Okay.
Just like that, and mortars like you guys would get. You get harassment. They would shoot some mortars in just to keep you alive.
So, I mean, we got hit with mortars every single day on the base. I don't think that there was a day that we didn't, but one thing that I noticed the way that they would fight, they would always hit us with a big boom and then follow up with small arms.
Yeah, see,
very heavily.
Yeah, we didn't have it that much, at least in the area in the rear we didn't. Now, when I was on different hills, I was on hill 327. I was on hill, oh God, I can't remember half of them. But anyways, I was with 26 Marines for a while, and we were on their hill, and they're like big outposts up there. They would get hit a lot with mortars and small fire, but most of the small fire was snipers. It wasn't like a whole group of guys suppressing us unless they were going to take over the hill, and they didn't want to do that. The hills that we were on were up pretty high, and they had to climb up it. And that's not very conducive to being alive after you get up there, if you know what I mean. Now, a lot of the fire bases that were on land lower would get hit, and yeah, they would get hit hard. They got hit, you'd know it. They would come in and they would fire rockets. They would fire, they had artillery. They had, up north, they had tanks, mortars. They have their 82s and 61s, and they would fire maybe a couple hundred rounds in. And that happens, then you know they were coming. You could see them there, ain't nothing to do about it. You got, a couple hundred of them charging you.
That's insane.
I was so lucky as far as that goes. The things that I did were more scarier because I was out like up near the ZMZ, 3 and 4 of us, and that was it.
Because you were with Recon.
Yeah. Towards the end, the last section or parts I was in, I was with Recon. And they were, they're nuts. I mean, they're going to go out, especially the snipers. They are very deadly. I mean, I don't know if you ever had any dealings with any snipers or not. They're a little crazy.
As in on our side or their side?
Either one.
Oh, I mean, yeah, snipers on their side scared me. Snipers on our side, I was thankful if they were out there.
Yeah, because they would definitely, they'd pop you. I mean, you guys now, you got the 50 cals. We never had them.
Okay.
So the best we had a 308s, bolt action 308s. And, you can shoot up to 1,000 meters with one of them. And I learned how to shoot.
Oh yeah, that's right. What you can tell me what you can shoot again.
I can shoot a 308 at 1,000 meters at a moving target at a 12-inch biplate.
So for anybody that's watching this that maybe doesn't actually know what 1,000 meters is, can you base that in feet or in football fields to kind of give a perspective to that?
1,000 meters is a little over like 1,200 yards. So you're talking 12 football fields.
Wow. Yeah, don't mess with this guy.
Yeah. But they taught me how to do that in 3 days. Because when I was, even though I was a radio operator, but going out with snipers, the radio operator, the spotter, and the sniper all had to be sniper qualified, at least know how to shoot. Mm-hmm. Because if the sniper got killed, then the spotter would take his job. I would take the spotter's job and the radio operator's job. If the spotter got killed, same way. We'd all rotate, and everybody knew everybody's job. So, that was just the way it was. And so they had to teach me how to do that. I never had to do it, but they, taught me.
What kind of protective gear did you guys have when you went out on missions? Because I know that it's much different. I mean, I
never carried anything.
I had a Kevlar, the bulletproof vest with the side plates.
When I went out with Recon, we did not have our vests or helmets. We wore a soft hat and just our gear. So
basically no different than what you're wearing right now, except camouflage.
Yeah. And a lot of ammo, water, food, whatever we needed, depending how long we were out. Back then is when they first started with the MRIs. We called them long rats because other than that, we had C rats, and C rats is actual cans and stuff of food.
MRI or MRE?
Whatever. MRI, MRE. Yeah. What is it?
I'm sure you had to get a couple MRIs after.
Yeah. MREs. That's right. And I just call them long rats.
I've never heard that name before though.
Well, the reason they're called long rats because first of all, they're light. They come in a package. C rats come in a box, and you get, your main meal, and it's a can. You get maybe some fruit, peaches or, fruit cocktail or something. That's another can. You have maybe some biscuits or crackers or something. That's another can. So these are all canned, and they're heavy. But your long rats are in a bag, and you just add hot water to it, and that's your food. So, why not carry that instead of all them cans? Mm-hmm. Now, I would carry fruit and stuff. I love peaches. I tell you what, sea rat peaches, they're to die for. And then we have what they call shit sticks, which is chocolate. and crackers, stuff like that, and Tabasco sauce. You always carry Tabasco sauce because it kills the taste.
I love Tabasco sauce now, especially on breakfast after having Army breakfast.
Yeah. And then, so, so we carry, depending how long we're going to be out, we try to figure out how much food we're going to carry. And then we try to get it as light as we can. And the reason you want it light is because you want more ammunition than you do food. Normally, I would carry 20 mags for my M16, carry 2 extra mags for my 45, that I love carrying the 45. I'd carry 4 or 5 frags, smoke grenades. Then I had my radio, 2 extra batteries, and 4 canteens of water. Sometimes I'd carry, depending what the weather was like, I'd bring extra pair of socks or something with me, poncho. But even though, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah, and how many days would that, the 4 canteens and all of that, supply you for? On
one day.
One day?
One day, maybe 2. Yeah, and then we'd have to either find water, or if we knew how long we were going to be out there. So let's say an average was 3 days. Okay, 2 nights, 3 days. 4 canteens, we would sit there and really, unless it was real, real hot, ration it as much as we can.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have like the bottles of water and stuff like basically that's all you guys. Did you ever carry a canteen?
Well, I mean, we had them. They went to Camelbacks.
Okay. Anyways, so see how easy you guys had it? Yeah.
We still had to carry a bunch of water to refill them and everything. I mean, because I'm sure that you're not, filling up water from a stream or anything there.
Yeah.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah. That's
God
why you had.
bless
That's
you.
why you had the iodine tablets and your Kool-Aid. Boy, because iodine in water is nasty. It is. But yeah, try to get it the cleanest water you can. And then you put your iodine in it so you don't get sick. And then you put Kool-Aid in it so it doesn't taste bad because that iodine water tastes nasty. But yeah.
So Vietnam, 4 helicopter crashes, getting blown up, by a rocket while you're sleeping at the bunker. Yeah. Anything else stick out in your mind from?
Yeah, Freedom Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, Freedom Hill was an R&R area back in the rear near Da Nang. It was called the Big PX. I went to see a Bob Hope show there. In '69. Raquel Welch was there. There was a bunch of people. Oh, that crazy little comedian. I can't remember all the people were there. I got pictures, I think, at the house. That was one of the best times. It was a Christmas show, '69. But Freedom Hill had, you can go in there and take a shower, get cleaned up, get a haircut, get a shave. They had a USO where you can go in and talk to round-eyed girls. That's a big thing over there, the round-eyed girls. They had a bowling alley. Now, they weren't automatic pin setters. They had gooks back in the back that would set the pins up and everything. And we try to throw the balls at them and knock them out. There was
the workers or the pins?
The workers, as they were trying to put the pins back up. We had a PX that had what we call a slop chute, where you can buy hamburgers and stuff.
Yeah.
There was a section in the back where you can buy a new car and it'll be ready for you when you got home and stuff like that. Besides a car, there's a lot of things you can buy, but the new car is the biggest thing. The PX had everything you wanted. I mean, it was a regular, like a United States, PX here in the world. They had a beer garden and they had a movie theater. So we went to the USO and played some pool, got something to eat, just had a great time. So we went to go see a movie, and the movie that was on, I don't know, I think I told you, was a John Wayne movie, Green Beret. And we were in there, art squad was in there, and there was a bunch of Army guys in there, and all we did through the whole movie was laugh because of the bullshit that was going on, Then we left there and went to the beer garden, got drunker and shit. I mean, 15 cents a beer, you can get pretty drunk.
No, I bet. That's one thing that we didn't have in Afghanistan was
alcohol. I guess that's what, a religious thing over there or something? Or
no, I mean, the military didn't allow it, especially if you're in a combat zone. Oh. So, I mean, I know that guys had it sent over in mouthwash and stuff, in mouthwash. If there's a will, there's a way.
Sure.
I never drank when I was over there. I think we on the way back, maybe we flew through Kyrgyzstan or something like that. And on that was a non-combat zone, and we were allowed 2 beers a day there. And I remember drinking that first beer. Man, the second one, I was ready to go back to the rack and pass out. But that going to the bigger bases and having that, a little bit of R&R time, feeling like you're in a safer area, especially going to the PX. Oh my gosh, sure. Having a PX, I don't know what I would have done if I was on. I mean, I spent a lot of money while I was deployed getting stuff shipped there, because when we weren't on, mission, we were lifting weights. So, I mean, we were buying all kinds of stuff off the black markets to, build our muscles. For you going, coming out of high school, going to the military, basically going straight to Vietnam, kind of going back and forth on tours really quick. Like your final time, leaving Vietnam, what was it like when you came home? Now, that was an awesome story, and there's still more to come. 2 more videos coming out. So if you didn't hit the subscribe button at the beginning, make sure you hit it right now to get the alerts. Put a comment in here and let us know what you think about this video, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Stay blessed.